On the 2nd of April 2024, I sent an insurance company a certified copy of a court order. On the 22nd of April, they paid $500,000 to the woman that order said could not have it. They did not lose my letter. A person read it, wrote the file number on it, and paid her anyway. My name is Delia Ray, and I am 34 years old, and I need you to understand the thing that took me 10 months and $9,400 to understand. That company was right. Every lawyer I called first was wrong, and the letter I screamed about in my car was correct in every line. By the end of this, you will know the one sentence my stepmother's own lawyer wrote that cost her $455,000. You will also know why the only way to win was to stop suing the company that took the money. Does that sound backwards to you? It sounded backwards to me for most of a year. My father was Wendell Ray. He ran the night side of a freight terminal for 29 years. That meant he left at 9 in the evening and came home at 7 in the morning, and he slept while my brother Theo and I got ready for school. He was not a warm man, and he was not a cruel one. He was tired. My mother was Mary Ann, and she did everything else. We lived on Holloway Street until I was 17, and the thing you should know about that house is that my mother paid for half of it and never lived in it after 2007. They separated in the spring of that year. It was not dramatic. It was two people who had run out of things to say, and a lawyer's office, and a decree signed in November. I was 17 and Theo was 13, and I remember thinking that the worst part was over. That is the part I want you to hold on to. Everything that happened to us 17 years later was decided in that office by careful people doing everything right, and you are going to watch it fail anyway. The decree has 22 articles. Article 14 is 4 lines long, and my mother is the reason it exists. It says that my father shall maintain the group life insurance available through his employment in a face amount of not less than $500,000. It says he shall name the parties' 2 children as sole and irrevocable beneficiaries, and it says he shall not change or encumber or permit the lapse of that designation, so long as any obligation under this decree remains unsatisfied. Read that last clause again, because my father never did. When do you think a clause like that expires? It does not end when we turn 18, and it does not end when we finish school. It ends when he has paid what he owes, and not one day earlier. In 2008, he filed the form with the old carrier naming Theo and me, 50% each. He mailed my mother a photocopy of it, and she put it in a folder, and for 11 years it was true. So, what was he paying for? This is Article 9, and it is the article my stepmother spent 5 years pretending she had never heard of. My mother had a half interest in the house, and a marital share of my father's pension. She did not want to force a sale of the house, because Theo was 13, and it was the only bedroom he had ever had, so she took paper instead. She gave up the house and the pension share in exchange for $422,000, payable at $2,000 a month until it was paid in full. That is more than 17 years of payments, still running when he died. She traded a thing for a promise. Then she took Article 14 as the security on that promise, because a promise from a 44-year-old man is only worth something while he is alive. My mother was not naive. She was the only person in this entire story who read the document she signed. My mother died in October of 2016. She was 53 and it was pancreatic cancer, and it took 14 weeks from the first appointment. My father came to the service and stood at the back and left before the reception. In February of 2017, the payment stopped. He had paid $200,000 of the $422,000. When Theo finally asked him about it in a parking lot, my father said that the money was hers and she was gone, so what exactly was he supposed to be paying now? He was not lying to us. He believed it. And here is the first place where being careless costs a man more than being dishonest would have, because an obligation under a decree does not die with the person it is owed to. It becomes an asset of her estate. Her estate is Theo and me. So from February of 2017, my father owed his own 2 children $222,000, and every month that he did not pay it, Article 14 stayed alive. My father married Sheila Doss in 2014. I want to be fair about her, because the version of the story where she is a monster is easier and it is not the one that happened. She was good to him. She got him to a doctor. She is also the reason I know he never told her a single true thing about his finances, and I can prove that with her own mortgage application. In 2017, they refinanced the house on Holloway Street. On the application, under monthly obligations, there is a line for a property settlement of $2,000 a month. Sheila signed that application as a co-borrower. She initialed the liabilities page. So when her lawyer told me in 2024 that she had never heard of any decree, there was a document in a bank's file with her initials on the page where it was listed. Did she read it? She almost certainly did not. Nobody reads anything, and you already know that about yourself because you have initialed pages you did not read too. That is the entire subject of this story. In the autumn of 2019, my father's employer changed group life carriers. This happens constantly, and almost nobody understands what it means. A group life policy is a contract between the employer and the carrier, and when the employer signs with a new carrier, the old contract ends and a new one begins. Beneficiary designations do not travel between them. They are not able to, because they are instructions under a contract that no longer exists. Do you know who your employer's group life carrier is right now? So every employee had to re-enroll through a portal in November, and every one of them had to name a beneficiary from scratch. My father hated computers with a purity I have never seen in another human being. He submitted his enrollment at 11:52 at night on the 15th of November 2019 on the last evening it was open. He named Sheila at 100%. And then he did something in December that nobody found for 5 years. And when I tell you what it was, it is going to change how you feel about him. He died on the 12th of March, 2024. It was a heart attack at the terminal at 4 in the morning, and it was quick. And the last conversation I had with him was 6 weeks before about a car. I am telling you that flatly because I have run out of a better way to say it. Sheila handled the arrangements, and she did it well. Theo and I sat in the second row. And 9 days after the funeral, I opened the folder my mother had kept since 2008. I read Article 14 for the first time as an adult. My father had been dead for 9 days and had owed us $222,000 for 7 years, and there was supposed to be a $500,000 policy standing behind that debt. So I called the carrier. The woman on the phone was kind, and she told me the claim had already been filed. She would not tell me by whom. She did not have to. On the 2nd of April, I sent them everything. I sent a certified copy of the decree with Article 14 flagged. I sent the 2008 designation naming Theo and me. I sent a letter from a lawyer I had hired that morning for $400. On the 11th of April, they answered, and I have that letter memorized. It said that the plan administrator is required to pay benefits in accordance with the documents governing the plan. It said a divorce decree is not a qualified domestic relations order, and the plan is not permitted to give one effect. It said my remedy, if I had one, did not lie against them. On the 22nd of April, they paid Sheila $500,000. So what do you do with that? I did the obvious thing. I did what you would do, and what every person I have ever told this story to says they would do. I sued the insurance company. I lost that case. I lost it so quickly that I did not get to say anything in a courtroom. The employer's group life plan is governed by a federal statute, and that statute preempts state law claims that relate to an employee benefit plan. The reason is not a loophole, and it is not cruel. A plan administrator handling 100,000 employees cannot be asked to read every divorce decree in America and adjudicate who really deserves the money. If it could be, no employer could afford to offer the benefit at all. So the rule is that the plan pays the form. If you were writing that statute, you would write it the same way, and you would be right to. The case was dismissed on the 9th of August, 2024. I paid my lawyer $9,400 that I did not have, and I sat in my car in a parking garage and I said out loud that there was no law for this. I was 34 years old, and I believed that. It is the most wrong I have ever been about anything. In September, I met a lawyer named Beatrice Okonkwo, who is 52 and has been doing this for 26 years, and who read the dismissal order for 4 minutes without saying anything. Then she asked me a question that reorganized my entire life, and I want you to sit with it for a second before I tell you the answer. She asked me who currently had the money, not who paid it out. She asked who was holding it, because everything I had done for 5 months was aimed at the plan, and the plan was untouchable, and the plan did not have $500,000. Sheila had $500,000. And that statute protects the administration of the plan. It does not follow the money out the door and stand guard over it forever. Once the benefit is paid, the plan's job is finished, and a claim against the person holding the funds is not a claim about how a plan was administered. The Supreme Court flagged that exact question and left it open in 2009, and the courts that have reached it since have let those suits go forward. So we sued Sheila, not the company. The woman with the money. Here is the mechanism, and it took me a year to be able to say it in one breath. Article 14 never had any power over the insurance company because the insurance company was not a party to my parents' divorce. It had power over my father, It ordered him to keep 2 named people as the beneficiaries of a specific asset, and it made that order the security for a debt. When a court orders somebody to hold an asset for named people, those people have an equitable interest in it. He could break the order. He did break it, but breaking a court order does not transfer the interest of the people it protected. So when that $500,000 landed in Sheila's account, it arrived carrying our interest with it. She held it as what the law calls a constructive trustee, which is a polite phrase for somebody holding money that a court is going to make her hand over. Do you see the difference now? The plan pays the form. The form does not get to keep it. Sheila's lawyer is a man named Grant Ledbetter, and on the 14th of October 2024, he sent us the letter that ended his own case. He wrote that Mrs. Ray was the sole and rightful beneficiary under a designation that Wendell Ray executed freely and without assistance in 2019, and that no court had ever restricted his right to name whomever he chose. It is a good letter. It is also 3 factual claims, and every one of them was already contradicted by a document that existed before he wrote it. A court had restricted that right, in 4 lines, in 2007. Sheila's own verified answer to our 11th interrogatory says that she sat with him and walked him through the portal because he could not stand computers, which is the opposite of without assistance. And the word freely has a problem that I did not find. My father found it in 2021, and he signed it, and he filed it with the court. In 2021, I was the personal representative of my mother's estate, and I moved to enforce the arrears. My father filed a sworn financial affidavit on the 8th of June 2021. Item 22 asks for life insurance owned, the face amount, and the named beneficiaries. He wrote $500,000. He wrote Delia Ray and Theo Ray 50% each. He signed it under penalty of perjury, and he filed it with the court. On the strength of that affidavit, the judge restructured his arrears down to $600 a month, which is a gift the document bought him. That was 19 months after he named Sheila. So either he knew what he had signed in 2019 and he lied to a judge in 2021 to cut his own debt, or he did not know what he had signed in 2019 and he told that judge the truth. Which one do you think it was? Because Grant Ledbetter had to pick one, and both of them ended the same way. Take the first road. If my father knew, then the 2021 affidavit was a false statement made to a court to obtain a reduction of a judgment. The 2021 order was procured by fraud, and the reduction unwinds. The full $222,000 revives against his estate with interest, and his estate is a truck and a boat and a house Sheila lives in. Take the second road. If he did not know, then the 2019 designation did not reflect his intent. Executed freely is false, and every element of the constructive trust is met on Ledbetter's own timeline. One road takes the house. The other road takes the $500,000. Can you find a third one? There is no third road. The only way to argue that he knowingly named her and also honestly swore the opposite is to say the affidavit was true when he signed it. And the moment you say that, you have agreed with us about what he believed. He had spent 5 years never once being asked to hold both pieces of paper at the same time. On the 14th of October, Grant Ledbetter handed us the second one. We settled on the 6th of February, 2025. Sheila paid $455,000 into a trust for Theo and me and kept the rest, and the arrears claim against my father's estate was released and she kept the house. The insurance company paid nothing and admitted nothing and was never wrong, but that is not the part I think about. In Discovery, we got the carrier's contact log, and there is an entry dated the 9th of December 2019, 24 days after the enrollment. My father called the service line and asked how he would add his 2 children as beneficiaries. He was told a change form would be mailed to his address of record. You already know what happened to it. It was mailed on the 12th. It went to Holloway Street because when the carriers changed, the migration pulled his address from the old policy file, and he had not lived at that house since 2014. It came back undeliverable on the 9th of January 2020, and it was scanned into a folder nobody opens, and he never called again. So he tried. I spent 5 years believing my father chose her over us with 4 clicks at midnight, and he did not. He got tired, the way he had been tired since 1995, and a database that had never met him finished the job. They paid the wrong person on purpose. It just was not the purpose I was angry about. The plan pays the form. The form does not get to keep it. Guilty or not? Tell me in the comments, and I will read them. Next week, a man who sold his brother a third of a family farm in 2012 and kept farming all of it. The deed says 3 owners. The crop insurance says 1, and for 12 years only one of them was collecting.